The sky burned with colors no human eye had ever seen before. Strange red lightning tore across the dark clouds, and the ground shook again and again as something massive moved in the distance. Captain Aaron Hale did not know how long the war had been raging. It felt like hours, but maybe it had been only minutes. Time twisted in battlegrounds where alien weapons ripped holes through reality. He had been separated from his team during the last blast, pushed far into the ruins of a destroyed alien city. Aaron slowly stood up, his head ringing. Metal dust floated around him like ash. Huge buildings lay broken, twisted, and glowing. Strange symbols covered the shattered walls. He wiped dirt from his visor and tried to make sense of the scene. The battlefield was silent now. Too silent. Even in war, silence was dangerous. Aaron checked his communicator. It was dead. Nothing but static. He tapped it again, but the screen glitched and faded to black. He sighed. Great. Alone again, he muttered. He looked around for any sign of human soldiers or alien enemies, but the ruins stretched endlessly, like a graveyard of steel. A low rumble echoed through the ruins. Aaron froze. The sound was deep, almost like a growl. Not human, not machine either. He slowly reached for his sidearm, keeping his steps quiet as he moved toward the sound. Dust slipped under his boots, but he kept moving, scanning the shadows. The growl came again. This time, it was followed by something else. Pain. A whimper. Aaron stopped. It was the kind of sound an animal made when it was hurt and trying to hide it. A sound he had heard before back on Earth. When a wounded wolf was caught in a trap, he had helped that wolf. He remembered the fear in its eyes, but also the trust. He narrowed his eyes and stepped forward. Around the corner lay something he never expected to see. Two creatures large as bears, covered in thick silver fur that glowed faintly. Their eyes were bright green, shining even in the gloom. They looked like wolves, but not wolves. Their bodies were heavier, their limbs stronger, and their fur seemed to move like flowing smoke. They were alien wolves. Both creatures were collapsed against a fallen metal beam. Their breathing was rough, uneven. They were clearly dying. Wounds across their bodies leaked strange blue blood that shimmered as it touched the ground. They growled weakly when they saw Aaron, trying to lift their heads, but their strength failed. Aaron lifted his hands slowly. Easy, he said softly. I'm not here to hurt you. He took a small step closer. One wolf bared its teeth. The other tried to stand but collapsed again, shaking in pain. Aaron could see fear in their eyes, but also something familiar, confusion, desperation, the will to survive. He knelt down at a safe distance and looked closely. The beam had fallen on them during the blast, crushing part of their legs. They could not escape. They could not fight. And based on their wounds, their own kind had abandoned them. Aaron whispered, "Left to die." He looked at their wounds again. These were not just injuries from falling rubble. There were marks, burn marks, clearly from weapons. Someone had attacked them before leaving them here. Someone wanted them gone. Aaron's heart tightened. He knew what he should do. Command rules were clear. All alien creatures on war zones were potential threats. He should leave. He should report. He should not approach unknown hostile species, but he also knew what he could do. He could choose mercy. The wolves watched him carefully, breathing hard. One of them blinked slowly. Aaron felt something shift inside him. He moved closer and placed his hand gently on the metal beam. "I'm going to help," he whispered, "if you let me." The wolves growled again, but softer this time. More like warning than attack. Aaron nodded. "I get it. Pain does that. But I can't leave you here." He pressed his boots against the ground and put all his strength into lifting the beam. His muscles burned. His breath came heavy. The metal was heavier than he expected, but he pushed harder. Dust fell from the edges. The wolves flinched and whimpered, but Aaron kept going. Finally, the beam rolled off them with a loud crash. Both wolves cried out, a mix of pain and relief. Aaron quickly moved back to give them space. They tried to stand, but their legs shook too much. One collapsed again and let out a heartbreaking whine. Aaron stepped forward. Okay, don't move too fast. He opened a small medical pack from his belt. Human med kits were not made for alien bodies, but he hoped it was better than nothing. He cleaned the wounds carefully. The wolves tensed but did not bite. He wrapped their legs with band material and injected a mild pain reliever. It seemed to work. Their breathing steadied slightly. One of the wolves slowly leaned its massive head closer and sniffed his hand. Aaron froze. Then, gently, he placed his palm against its fur. It was warm, softer than he expected. The glowing strands shifted like living light. "You're safe now," he whispered. A loud explosion echoed somewhere behind them. Aaron quickly turned around. Smoke rose in the distance. More fighting, more danger coming. The wolves tried again to stand, but they could barely lift themselves. Aaron looked at them, then at the battlefield. He had a choice. Leave them, and they would die. Stay with them, and he might die too. But as he looked into their glowing eyes, he felt something he could not explain. A connection, a message without words. Trust. Aaron tightened his grip on his weapon. "All right," he said quietly. "If I'm saving you, I'm seeing it through." He moved to stand guard beside them. Because these wolves were no longer just alien creatures, they were now his responsibility, and he had already made his choice. He would not abandon them. Aaron stood with his weapon raised, scanning the ruined landscape while the two alien wolves rested behind him. The air was thick with dust, and every distant explosion shook loose more debris from the broken towers around them. The ruins felt alive, watching him, testing him. He kept his breathing slow and steady, listening for anything that might mean danger. The wolves watched him too. Their glowing green eyes followed every move he made, not with fear now, but with something closer to curiosity. The larger one lifted its head slightly and sniffed the air. Its ears twitched. Aaron noticed the change immediately. "You smell something?" he whispered. The wolf growled softly, not a warning, but a signal. Aaron tightened his grip on his rifle. A shadow moved between the buildings, then another. He could not see who or what they were, but he knew the sound of organized movement. Boots, several sets. Not human boots. He could hear the rhythm, sharp, quick, precise. Aaron knelt beside the wolves. "We need to move," he said quietly. "Can you walk yet?" The smaller wolf tried to stand again. Its legs trembled, but this time, with effort, it managed to rise. It took a shaky step forward and let out a pained huff. The larger wolf pushed itself up next, slower, but determined. They both looked ready to collapse again, but Aaron gently placed his hands on their shoulders. "Stay close. I'll guide you." He led them carefully through the ruins, staying in the shadows. Every time the wolves stumbled, he helped steady them. They were heavy, far heavier than any earth animal, but they leaned on him with surprising care, almost as if they understood how fragile he was compared to them. The boots grew louder. Aaron quickened his pace. "Come on, move!" The wolves followed, trusting him completely. He guided them through broken corridors and collapsed alleys until he reached a narrow gap between two fallen metal plates. It looked just big enough for the wolves to slip through. "In here," he whispered. The wolves squeezed inside first, and Aaron followed. The small space opened into what looked like a broken maintenance tunnel. The ceiling had collapsed on one side, but the rest seemed stable enough. Faint blue light traced strange alien patterns on the walls. Aaron exhaled. "We hide here for now," The wolves lowered themselves to the ground, exhausted. Aaron checked their bandages. The bleeding had slowed, but the wounds were still fresh. He wished he had more supplies. Human medkits were not meant for anything like this. "You two are tougher than you look," he said with a small smile. The larger wolf nudged his hand gently, as if agreeing. Outside, voices echoed, sharp, metallic, and cold. Aaron recognized them. The enemy soldiers were searching the ruins. They were known for their brutal methods. If they found the wolves, they would finish the job. If they found him, they would do far worse. Aaron held his breath as the footsteps came dangerously close. A shadow passed over the opening. The wolves tensed, but stayed silent. Aaron placed a calming hand on their fur, hoping they understood. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the voices drifted away. The footsteps faded into the distance. Aaron let out a long breath. That was close. The smaller wolf lowered its head in relief. The larger one licked the side of Aaron's glove, leaving a faint trail of glowing blue saliva. He chuckled softly. "I'll take that as a thank you." But peace never lasted long on battlefield planets. A sudden deep rumble shook the tunnel. Dust rained from above, and cracks spread across the ceiling. Aaron looked up instantly. No, stay back!" Before he could move, part of the ceiling collapsed. Aaron dove toward the wolves, pushing them sideways as a massive piece of metal crashed down where they had been lying. The shockwave threw him backward, slamming him against the wall. Pain shot through his chest. The wolves growled loudly, panicked. Aaron tried to stand, but the world spun. He forced himself up anyway. "I'm okay," he said, though his breath was tight. More rumbling came from outside, followed by a loud roar. Something massive was moving through the ruins now, something that did not sound like any soldier or machine he knew. The wolves suddenly stiffened. Their ears perked up. Their green eyes widened with instinctive fear. Aaron felt a chill. "What is that?" The wolves backed away, trembling. Whatever the sound was, it scared even them. Aaron knew then that staying here was no longer safe. He needed to move them before something worse arrived. He helped the wolves toward another opening at the far end of the tunnel. They limped along, leaning on him whenever they faltered. As they reached the exit, Aaron lifted a broken metal bar and used it like a makeshift cane to support his bruised side. Outside, the air was thick with smoke, but at least there was space to move. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows through the ruins. The wolves lifted their heads and sniffed the air again, sensing danger but also something else. Something hopeful. Aaron paused. "You smell a safe place?" The smaller wolf nodded. An actual nod, not just head movement. Aaron blinked in surprise. He had not expected such clear communication. But right now, he was willing to trust them as much as they trusted him. "Lead the way," he said. The wolves walked ahead slowly, guiding him through the wreckage. They moved with more purpose now, as if their instincts were pulling them toward something important. Aaron followed close behind, watching for enemies, listening for any sound that could threaten them. As they reached a wide open area filled with broken alien statues, Aaron felt a strange shift in the air. The wolves stopped at the center of the field. The larger one lifted its head high. Its fur glowed brighter, pulsing with gentle blue light. Aaron stared. "What are you two?" The wolves looked at him. Deep, ancient, intelligent, and Aaron felt something powerful moving beneath the surface. These were not just animals. They were far more than that. And whatever destiny they carried, he was now a part of it. Aaron stood quietly as the two alien wolves glowed softly in the broken field of statues. The light pulsing from their fur was faint at first, but it grew a little brighter with every second. The statues around them, shattered stone figures of unknown beings, reflected the blue shine, giving the area an almost sacred feeling. Aaron felt the air change again, as if something powerful had awakened. The wolves looked healthier than before. Their breathing steadied. Their wounds still existed, but the glowing energy inside them seemed to support their strength. Aaron took a slow step forward. "What is happening to you two?" he whispered. The smaller wolf walked toward him. Its movements were still weak but more confident than earlier. It nudged his arm, then pointed its muzzle toward the largest statue at the center of the field. The statue was cracked and worn, but Aaron could see it clearly. It was shaped like a wolf, but not exactly. Its body was thicker, its face longer, and strange runes covered its legs. Aaron approached the statue carefully. "Is this part of your kind?" The wolves remained silent, but their glowing eyes told him the answer. He inspected the statue up close. Beneath layers of dust, he found faint carvings that shimmered and reacted to the wolves' glow. The carvings pulsed softly, like breathing. Aaron took a step back. "This place, it's important to you." The wolves lowered their heads. They were not just showing respect, they were grieving. Aaron realized that this field was not random. It was a memorial, a graveyard, a place where their ancestors or leaders had been honored. And now these two survivors had returned to it in their moment of suffering. Aaron felt something tighten in his chest. "I'm sorry for whatever happened to your people." The larger wolf let out a low, haunting sound. It was not aggression. It was heartbreak. Aaron turned away to give them a moment. As he scanned the ruins again, he noticed something strange on the ground. Faint trails, tracks, and they were fresh. His face hardened. "Someone else has been here recently." He knelt to inspect the tracks. There were 3 distinct patterns. 2 were long, deep footprints, the kind made by heavy-armored soldiers. The third was different, circular, shaped like a tripod leg. Aaron recognized it instantly. A scout drone. "They're tracking you," he whispered. "Whoever injured you, they're still looking." The wolves growled softly, understanding the danger. Aaron checked his weapon. It was half-charged, enough for a fight, but not enough for a long one. He sighed. "We need to move again. If they find us here, they won't stop until all 3 of us are dead." The wolves walked closer, ready to follow him. But before they moved, the smaller wolf suddenly perked its ears and lifted its head. It sniffed the air, then growled, a sharp warning sound. Aaron spun around and grabbed his weapon. He saw movement near the far end of the statue field. 3 armored alien soldiers stepped out from behind the ruins. Their armor was black and silver, covered with sharp ridges and glowing red lines. Their helmets had long, narrow visors. They carried energy rifles that hummed with deadly power. Aaron muttered, "Of course, they found us." The soldiers spread out, forming a triangle. One pointed at the wolves and barked something in their harsh language. Another raised their rifle toward Aaron. Aaron stood tall. "You're not getting them," he said, even though they couldn't understand him. The wolves stepped beside him. Even injured, they bared their teeth and growled. Their glowing fur brightened, reacting to the threat. The soldiers aimed. Aaron fired first. A burst of blue light shot from his rifle and hit the ground near their feet, forcing them to scatter. The wolves lunged forward with surprising strength, but Aaron blocked them with his arm. "No, you're still hurt!" He didn't want them rushing into danger yet. They were too weak. They would die. The soldiers returned fire immediately. Bright red beams streaked across the field. Aaron rolled behind a fallen stone statue, barely avoiding a shot that scorched the ground where he had been standing. "Stay low!" he shouted. The wolves crouched behind another broken statue. Their bodies glowed brighter now, almost like they were charging with energy. Aaron fired again. He aimed carefully and hit one soldier's shoulder plate, causing them to stumble. The soldier growled and fired wildly at him, sending sparks flying. Aaron ducked. His cover cracked under the impact. The wolves suddenly responded. They opened their jaws, and a strange blue mist escaped, soft at first, then stronger, like a small wave of light. The mist drifted toward the nearest soldier. The soldier tried to push it away, but the mist clung to them. Their armor flickered, then malfunctioned, sparks popping across their chest. The soldier screamed and collapsed. Aaron gasped. "You two can do that?" The larger wolf growled deeply. It wasn't just a wolf. It was something else, something powerful. The remaining two soldiers panicked. They backed away, shouting to each other. Aaron used the confusion and fired again. His shot hit one soldier in the leg, knocking them down. The last soldier tried to retreat, but the wolves stepped forward together. Their fur pulsed with intense blue light. They released another wave of energy, not mist this time, but a sharp crackling sound, like a sonic blast. It hit the soldier square in the chest. The soldier flew backward and hit the ground, unconscious. Silence returned to the field. Aaron lowered his weapon slowly. His heart was pounding, but he managed a shaky breath. "You saved my life." The wolves limped toward him. The smaller one touched its head against his hand, gentle as ever. Aaron smiled and rubbed its fur. "You're stronger than I thought." He looked at the fallen soldiers. "And someone really wants you dead." The wolves stared at the bodies, then turned toward Aaron. There was something new in their eyes now, something deeper than simple trust. It was partnership. Aaron nodded. "Let's move before more come." But as they walked away from the statue field, neither Aaron nor the wolves noticed the small red light blinking on one of the soldiers' armor. A tracking signal. Someone far away had just learned their exact location. Aaron led the two alien wolves away from the statue field as quickly as he could. Their breathing was heavy, but they walked with more strength than before. The strange energy inside them continued to pulse softly, helping them move. Aaron kept glancing back, making sure no more soldiers were following. The fallen enemy soldiers looked unconscious, but Aaron knew nothing on this planet stayed quiet for long. The wolves stayed close to him, almost guarding him as much as he guarded them. He felt the connection between them deepening, although he still did not understand why. They were powerful creatures, far stronger than he imagined, yet they followed him willingly. As they entered a narrow passage formed by fallen buildings, Aaron slowed down and listened. The air changed again. He felt something wrong, like the ruins were holding their breath. The wolves felt it too. Their glowing eyes sharpened, and their ears twitched. They lowered their bodies, ready to react. Aaron whispered, "Easy. Stay alert." They reached the end of the passage and looked out onto a wide open area filled with broken machinery. Huge alien starship parts lay scattered like giant metal bones. Smoke drifted from deep cracks in the ground. A cold wind swept through, carrying the scent of burned metal and something else, something alive. The larger wolf lifted its head and sniffed the air. It growled softly. Aaron's hand tightened around his weapon. What now? Before he could move forward, a sudden metallic whine echoed from above. Aaron looked up just in time to see a small drone fly over them. Its red eye scanned the ground, and then it turned sharply toward their location. Aaron cursed under his breath. "We were seen." The wolves snarled. They knew the danger. The drone flashed a bright red light and flew away at top speed, sending the signal back to whoever controlled it. Aaron knew what that meant. More soldiers, more trouble. And they would arrive fast. "We need shelter," he said quickly. "Come on." He led the wolves through the broken machinery. The metallic sounds under their feet echoed loudly, but he had no choice. Every second mattered now. They reached what looked like the remains of a large alien transport ship. Its hull was cracked open, creating a dark space inside. "This looks good enough," Aaron said, and guided the wolves into the shadowed interior. Inside, the light dimmed. Strange wires hung from above like vines. A soft humming sound came from somewhere deep in the ship. Aaron moved slowly, making sure it was stable. It seemed quiet, safe enough for a moment. The wolves inspected the space carefully. The smaller wolf sniffed a broken console, then lay down tiredly. The larger wolf paced slowly before resting near the wall. Aaron knelt beside them. "You two need rest," he said gently. "Your energy's strong, but your bodies are still wounded." The wolves closed their eyes for a moment. They trusted him completely. Aaron sat down between them, his back against a cold metal panel. His own body ached from the earlier fight and the tunnel collapse, but he forced himself to stay alert. He inspected his weapon again. Only a few energy shots left. His armor was scratched and dented. His communicator was still dead. He was stranded, outnumbered, and protecting two powerful alien creatures that enemy soldiers clearly wanted dead. Aaron let out a tired laugh. "What a day!" The wolves opened their glowing eyes and looked at him. The smaller one licked his hand as if trying to comfort him. Aaron smiled. "Thanks. I'll try not to break down just yet." Suddenly, the humming inside the ship grew louder. Aaron stood quickly. "What is that?" A soft blue light spread across the floor, forming strange shapes and lines. The wolves jumped to their feet, startled. Aaron stepped back as the light grew brighter. It wasn't dangerous, at least not yet, but it activated something within the ship. Then a holographic figure appeared in front of them, a large, transparent, wolf-shaped being far bigger than the two wolves beside him. Its body shimmered like liquid light. Its eyes glowed brighter than stars. The wolves bowed their heads instantly, recognizing the figure. Aaron froze. "What are you?" The hologram spoke in a deep, echoing voice. The language was alien, but the tone carried weight, age, and authority. The wolves responded with soft howls, communicating in a way Aaron could not understand. But the hologram turned its gaze toward him. Aaron felt his breath catch. The figure stepped closer, passing through debris like mist. Then its voice changed. The alien sounds softened, shifting slowly into human language, rough, broken, but understandable. "You, human, protector." Aaron's eyes widened. "You can speak to me?" The hologram flickered but continued. "You save last children?" Aaron looked at the two wolves. "Children? These two?" The hologram nodded slowly. "Last of our kind." Aaron felt the weight of those words. These wolves were not just survivors. They were the final hope of an entire species. No wonder soldiers hunted them. No wonder their energy felt ancient. The hologram continued. "They hold the memory, power of our people. Without them, all lost." Aaron stepped forward. "Why were they attacked? Why does the enemy want them dead?" The hologram's form shook with anger. "They fear what they do not understand. Our power. Sacred, not weapon, not for war, but they tried to take, failed, destroyed us, chased children." Aaron clenched his fists. "Then I'm getting them out alive." The hologram's bright eyes softened. "Human, heart strong, fate, tied now." Before Aaron could reply, a loud explosion rocked the outside of the ship. The hologram flickered violently. The wolves barked in warning. Aaron ran to the opening and looked out. Enemy dropships, 3 of them, were landing nearby. Soldiers jumped out, weapons ready. The hologram whispered faintly behind him. "Protect them. You. Chosen." Aaron turned back, but the hologram was fading. The wolves stepped beside him, glowing fiercely. Aaron steadied his weapon. "They want to fight?" he said. "Fine. But they're not touching you. As the enemy soldiers charged toward the ship, Aaron and the wolves prepared together. For the first time, they stood not as survivors, but as a team. The ground shook as enemy dropships landed outside the broken transport ship. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the metal walls vibrated from the force. Aaron could see shadows of soldiers moving steadily through the smoke, their glowing red visors cutting through the darkness like cruel eyes. The wolves stood beside him, their fur glowing brighter than ever before. They were injured, tired, but ready. Aaron checked his weapon again. He didn't have much energy left in the rifle. He knew he couldn't fight an entire squad alone. But he wasn't alone, not anymore. He looked at the wolves. "We do this together." The larger wolf growled in agreement. The smaller one gave a determined nod. Even though they were still hurt, they radiated strength, like the ancient energy inside them was awakening again. The first group of soldiers entered the ship ruins. Their footsteps echoed sharply against the metal floor. They spread out, moving in tight formation. Aaron ducked behind a fallen beam as they scanned the area with red lasers that crawled across walls and debris. One soldier shouted something in their alien language. Another raised a scanner device. Aaron knew they were searching for life signs. They would find him in seconds. He whispered, "Now." The wolves burst from behind the debris. Their glowing fur flashed like lightning, and a wave of blue energy rippled across the room. The soldiers were thrown backward, their armor sparking as their systems malfunctioned. Several fell to the ground, stunned. Aaron leaped from cover and fired at one soldier, who tried to regain balance. The shot hit the soldier's chest plate, sending them crashing into the wall. Another soldier charged at Aaron with a blade-like weapon, but the larger wolf intercepted, biting down on the soldier's arm and throwing them aside. The soldiers panicked. They weren't prepared for these wolves, beings of pure, ancient power. They tried to retreat toward the door, but the smaller wolf released another blast of blue mist, freezing one soldier's movements completely. Aaron noticed more shadows approaching outside. Reinforcements were coming fast. "We can't stay here," he yelled. The wolves moved beside him, ready to follow. Aaron ran deeper into the ship, searching for another exit. The corridors were tight and broken, filled with wires and fallen beams. He used his flashlight to guide the way, while the wolves moved silently, despite their injuries. Behind them, the enemy soldiers regrouped and charged again. Their boots slammed against the metal floor, and the sound grew louder with every second. Aaron reached a sealed door halfway down the corridor. The control panel was smashed, but there was enough power left for a manual override. He pulled a lever, and the door screeched open just enough for them to slip through. "Go!" Aaron pushed the wolves inside. He squeezed through after them and pulled the lever back, sealing the door. The moment it shut, the enemy soldiers reached it. They began to slam their weapons against the metal, trying to force it open. Aaron stepped away from the door. "This won't hold for long." The wolves sniffed the air again. The larger one nudged Aaron and pointed toward a dark chamber ahead. Aaron followed them inside. The chamber was massive, almost like a control room. Strange alien machines covered the walls, glowing with faint colors. In the center stood a large crystal embedded in a metal frame. The crystal pulsed the same blue light as the wolves. Aaron walked closer. "This was important to your people, wasn't it?" The wolves lowered their heads like they were in the presence of something sacred. The crystal brightened as they approached it. Aaron watched as their wounds slowly glowed along with the crystal's light. Their breathing eased, their legs steadied. The energy seemed to heal them. Aaron stepped back, amazed. "You're recovering." The smaller wolf looked at him, its eyes full of gratitude. Then something unexpected happened. The crystal projected an image into the air. A hologram formed. Another ancient wolf figure. But this one was clearer, stronger than the earlier one. The hologram spoke with a deep voice. Human ally. You protect our last flame. Aaron nodded. I will. But enemy soldiers are breaking through. We need a way out. The hologram turned its glowing gaze toward the floor. The metal ground shifted, lights moving beneath it. A hidden platform rose slowly, revealing a passage below. Aaron stared. An escape route? The hologram bowed its head. Take them. To the heart place. Safe. There. The wolves barked softly, signaling that they understood. Aaron hurried onto the platform with them. The moment all three were inside, the platform lowered again, sealing the chamber above. As they descended, the sound of the enemy soldiers breaking in echoed faintly from above. Aaron could hear their weapons firing uselessly at the crystal. He hoped the hologram had vanished before they entered. The platform reached the bottom of the passage, a wide underground tunnel with soft blue lights illuminating the walls. The air felt cleaner here, almost peaceful. Aaron whispered, Your people built all this? Underground? The wolves nodded. They moved ahead confidently, guiding him deeper into the tunnel. Aaron followed, still amazed by the hidden world beneath the ruins. They walked for several minutes before the tunnel opened into a huge underground cavern. The ceiling sparkled with glowing stones. Water flowed gently along one side. The air felt warm. Aaron stared in awe. This is beautiful. The wolves walked to the center of the cavern and lay down. Their bodies glowed more intensely now. Aaron sensed this place was designed to restore them fully. He sat beside them. You'll be stronger soon, strong enough to escape this planet. But even in this peaceful place, Aaron knew they were still being hunted. The enemy would not stop. Just as he began to relax, he heard a faint sound behind him. A soft echo, a footstep. Aaron turned sharply. Someone else had entered the cavern. He wasn't supposed to be here, and he wasn't alone. Aaron turned sharply toward the sound behind him. The cavern was quiet, but he could hear the faint scrape of metal against stone. Someone moving slowly, trying not to be seen. The wolves lifted their heads, their glowing fur dimmed with tension. Aaron raised his weapon, keeping his breath steady. A shadow moved behind a large stone pillar. Then another. Aaron stepped in front of the wolves, shielding them with his body. Show yourself, he said firmly. A moment passed. Then an enemy soldier stepped into the open. Their black armor was cracked and burned, but they were still standing. Their visor glowed faintly. Behind them, 2 more soldiers appeared, injured but alive. Aaron's heart sank. They had followed the tunnel. Somehow, they had found the secret cavern. The lead soldier pointed at the wolves and spoke in their harsh, alien tongue. Aaron didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. They wanted the wolves. They would not leave without them. Aaron stood his ground. You're not taking them! The soldier raised their weapon slowly. Aaron braced himself, ready to fight even though he had almost no energy left. His ribs hurt, his legs shook, and his weapon was half dead. But he would not step aside. Before anyone could move, the cavern lights shifted. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. The stones above shimmered. The wolves stood up slowly, their bodies glowing stronger than ever before. Their wounds were almost healed. They were changed, stronger, steadier, clearer. The enemy soldiers hesitated. The larger wolf stepped forward, raising its head high. Its eyes shone like twin stars. The smaller wolf stood beside it, glowing like a living flame. Together, they looked like ancient guardians brought back to life. The lead soldier shouted in panic and fired. Aaron shouted, "No!" But the wolves reacted before he could move. A blazing wave of blue light burst from their bodies. It wasn't mist or a sonic blast this time. It was pure energy, ancient and powerful. The air shook as the force spread across the cavern. The soldiers were lifted off their feet and thrown back hard against the walls. Their weapons shattered, and their armor cracked. They fell to the ground, stunned and unable to rise. Aaron lowered his weapon slowly, stunned. You saved us again." The wolves looked at him. Their eyes were gentle, grateful, but there was something else in their gaze now, something heavy, like they understood what had to happen next. Aaron approached the enemies carefully. They were alive but unconscious. He tied their arms with loose wires found on the cavern floor. They wouldn't be waking up soon. After checking, he returned to the wolves. "You're stronger now. You can leave this place. Escape. Live." The wolves walked to him and pressed their heads gently against his chest. Aaron closed his eyes and smiled sadly. "I know. You want me to come, but I can't go where you're going." The larger wolf let out a soft rumble, almost like a sorrowful sigh. Aaron sat beside them, feeling the warmth of their glowing fur. "Listen. You're the last of your kind. Your people gave you their power, their memories. You carry their future. You need to survive. And I—" He paused, swallowing his emotion. "I'm human. I have to finish my part of the fight up there." The smaller wolf nuzzled his hand, refusing to move away. Aaron took a deep breath. "If I leave now, I'll draw the enemy away from this place. They'll chase me, thinking you're with me. You'll have time to get far away. Maybe there's another safe place for you. Maybe another world." The wolves looked at each other. Then they stepped back slowly, accepting his decision, even though it hurt them. Aaron stood. His legs were stiff. His body ached, but he stood strong. He placed his hands on both their heads. "You changed me. More than you know. I didn't save you. We saved each other." A sudden rumble echoed through the cavern. The holographic voice from earlier drifted through the air, gentle and fading. "Human. Chosen. Protector. Legacy. Bound. To wolves." The crystal on the wall pulsed one last time. The wolves howled softly, a sound of respect, sorrow, and gratitude. Then they stepped toward the far end of the cavern where a hidden exit revealed itself, an ancient path leading deeper into the underground world. They looked back at Aaron one last time. Aaron smiled. "Go, live, that's all I want." The wolves turned and disappeared down the glowing passage. Aaron watched until their lights faded completely. The cavern felt colder without them. But he knew he had done the right thing. Their species would live because he made a choice, mercy over fear. He grabbed his weapon, tightened his armor straps, and turned toward the tunnel he came from. Footsteps echoed above. More soldiers were coming. The war was not over. Aaron whispered to himself, "Time to finish what I started." He walked toward the danger, ready to pull the enemy away from the wolves' path. Ready to protect their future, ready to fight as long as he could stand. Because somewhere deep underground, two glowing wolves were running toward a new life. And somewhere deep inside Aaron, something had changed forever. He was no longer just a soldier. He was the guardian of a lost species, and the universe would remember the day a human saved doomed alien wolves and changed their entire future.